Hey, welcome to a glittering celebration like no other. This is an extraordinary bonus episode of Town Hall, a Black Queer podcast with Bob the Drag Queen and me, Peppermint. The podcast where we journey through a theme by sharing stories, music, poetry, and art of varying depth and hilarity.
I mean, it is a magical time of the year, and we have decked the halls with rhinestones, tinsels, and just the right amount of sass for a holiday extravaganza dripping in glitter, honey. I mean, I love glitter. I don't wear a lot of glitter anymore these days because it's hard to get off your face. Pro tip, by the way, if you are wearing glitter makeup, what you can do is use a little bit of scotch tape or masking tape to take the glitter off before you use the makeup wipe. And that way you avoid rubbing the glitter all around your face. If you're gonna play in glitter, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to prepare yourself, okay? Now, prepare for a sleigh ride of laughs and heartwarming stories from our town hall team, plus a couple of very special guests.
Join us as we unwrap a special bonus episode of the Town Hall podcast that's sure to be a great gift under your virtual tree, darling. In this holiday extravaganza, expect the unexpected as our Town Hall team shares their favorite festive moments, spill the eggnog on their most outrageous holiday outfits, and perhaps even reveal the secrets to achieving that flawless mistletoe ready pout. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
So grab some hot cocoa, cozy up by the fire, and let the Yuletide shenanigans commence.
Happy holidays, darling listeners, and get ready to slay all day with the Town Hall team on this merry, bright, and extra special episode of the Town Hall podcast. Okay, so the holidays for me really changed as I got older. Nobody really like warns you about all that. As a kid, it was always about like getting a bunch of gifts and, just showing up and just being showered in gifts, darling. And it is not that way anymore, honey. I'll tell you that. But now it's all about obviously spending time with family. I get a chance to travel home to the DC area, which is where a lot of my family gathers and see everybody. Everybody's much older now, obviously, than when they were than I was a child. And so now it's mostly like helping people up the stairs, helping people down the stairs, making sure they got their walker. There's a lot of that going on in the Peppermint holiday household. And they're to the point where they're like, "You're not a child anymore." Like, basically, only the kids get gifts, like, the, like, young children get gifts. So, it's really about, like, maybe going to a movie after, the next day and all that. But I do enjoy it, and, I used to take that family for granted, and so now I, try my best to, like, come home every single holiday because you never know how long you have left. And, yeah, those the the holidays are a lot more calm now in the house than they were when I was younger. I had all my cousins and they had their siblings and we'd be running around and yelling and having a whole like basically fight in the basement waiting for the food. And then my mom and her siblings would run through the house like as adults. And my grandmother used to say it sounded like a herd of elephants coming through. You know what? The holiday meal is the same for me at Christmas as it is at Thanksgiving. It's a choice of ham or turkey, collard greens, sweet potatoes, and macaroni and cheese, um, cranberry like homemade cranberry sauce, and also the canned cranberry sauce. Together, they're yes, choice of either, and I always use both, and they are a smashing. I love them. You need both. Um, and yeah, that's the main dish, and then there'd be other stuff like depending on who's cooking, they'll add something extra and like for the main dishes. Yeah, it's the same thing every thing. I'm like I realize I don't know if this is a product of being like a child of the 80s, 70s and 80s, but like I love almost all of my food extremely well done. Like so well done. I don't mind if there's like burn marks on it. And so I'm not the right person to help get in charge of heating up the sweet potatoes and putting marshmallows on top because I like a black crust over top of the whole thing, and then it's like it's crispy and you can crunch into it. I like that. I don't want no white, soft ass marshmallows. And so, yeah, you don't need marshmallow. I think like brown sugar on the sweet potatoes alone is better, but like they like it's just special, I guess, putting the marshmallows on there. So fine, but you better crispify them up. I I don't have any nephews, but I do have cousins that are basically my nephews and nieces because they're young. They're like 6. I'm the youngest like adult that's there. So, I mean, now I'm kind of now that I use reading glasses, I'm like, okay, children, use your young legs to go get me something to drink from the kitchen. I'm in that mode, so I'm an auntie now officially. I'm a baby auntie. Every year, the holidays is a good time to sort of look back and like, readjust and review on the moments and what they really mean and connection and all that. That happens every year, but this year just really it's we're in the middle of witnessing a horrific war, one of many horrific wars happening currently that we are remarkably involved in more than we should be, considering we're currently not actually in a war. Um, and it's really it's wild to I'm glad we have the holidays right now because I know that people like voluntarily, at least in the United States, say, "Okay, let's agree to disagree and let's just be cordial." And so like we kind of need that because we're getting ready to go into 2024. And 2024 is going to be probably the most historic presidential run for many reasons. For not none of them good. And so I'm thinking that I'm really going to try my best to like just like not focus as much, like try to keep my brain in 2023 as my body moves into 2024 is what I'm trying to say. Um but for those who are interested in like giving back, it's always feels good to give back. Everybody's heard that before. uh, I'm probably going to go down and volunteer again for Christmas as I did for Thanksgiving with God's Love We Deliver, which is a charity. Basically, it's a food service organization that provides fresh, delicious, nutritious, hot meals. Well, fresh, delicious, nutritious meals that you heat up to people who can't provide for themselves. It was started back in the early 80s during the AIDS epidemic, and some really courageous queer women and lesbians who were obviously a part of the community were volunteering to go and drop off meals, home cooked meals to AIDS patients who couldn't cook for themselves and obviously were ostracized and stigmatized in a terrible way. And a lot of those people couldn't even like leave the house to do the shopping and things like that. And so then God's Love We Deliver was birthed out of that. And they've grown and continued every year since. And so when I went for Thanksgiving, we cooked up and packaged um 2,000 meals in just the 2 or 3 hours that I was there. And they serve, I think, over 15,000 people who get not just a Thanksgiving meal, but like daily meals every single day for free. And they've opened up. It's not just for people with AIDS and HIV. Now it's for people who with any like sort of diagnosis or illness that makes it so that you can't cook and provide for yourself, get your own meal and food. And so people with cancer, people with other types of diagnoses. And so it's a feel good moment. And they're only on the East Coast in the New York City area, although they do serve and ship as far as like Long Island and a couple other places. But um, if you are feeling in a giving mood and you'd like to donate to them, you can always find them online. We'll post the link and you can donate to God's Love We Deliver. Thinking about food security and food insecurity during the holidays is always something that's on the top of my mind. And after you do that, folks, please go and share my recently posted posts. I'm trying to make a music video, Janet Jackson music video for this for the new year for January. I don't know which one I'm going to do, but I would love the support. So please go and share and support. Okay, that is my holiday story. What about you, Bob?
My family, we don't have a lot of like traditions. Like I'm not one of those folks who's like every year we do this or every year we do that or there's this recipe. We kind of just fly by the seat of our pants in the Caldwell household. But um, what I do actively remember was waking up in the mornings because I mean, to be a parent, and shout out to Charlene, our producer here, who's a new parent. Um, the magic that you can create with kids around the holiday season, and it actually feels tangible. Like the magic in the air, especially for a child, it feels tangible and it feels real. And there's a moment where like even the child is aware that we're playing make believe. Like we know we're playing make believe, and we know it's not real, but you want to feel like it's real. And that feeling is like this shared experience you have with your parents. And even if you're trying to like catch your mom in the process, but she's so sneaky you can't catch her. So when I was a kid, my mother used to take all of our like there were no gifts. There were no gifts when you went to sleep. And it doesn't matter how late, but it doesn't matter how late you went to sleep. There were just no gifts. And you'd wake up and the living room was overflowing. And most of the gifts were pretty cheap, like a lot of stuff from the dollar store. And then the more intense gifts would be by the tree. So it'd be like clothes, little like those little green army men, candy, really, really cheap stuff. And it's literally flowing over onto the couch. The couch and the love seat are both covered in these toys because the couch and the love seat were kind of put to a corner. And then where they met, the Christmas tree was in that little square space where usually a coffee table would be or a little side table would be. And in there, I remember was a Nintendo. Like I remember getting the Nintendo. And I don't remember when my mom stopped doing that, but I do remember doing it for my nephew. He's 18 now. He'll be 18 in December. By the time so he's way too old for that now. And it was kind of just this like understood thing where it's just like we kind of just stop pretending, but you get to be part of the pretending for the younger generation. Once you're no longer the one being tricked or being surprised, you get to be in on the surprise. And it's kind of wild when you think about the fact that our parents will like literally let this guy take credit for all their hard work. Like Santa Claus, I gave him like I was like Santa Claus is that's my motherfucking nigga. I love Santa. That's my dog. Like Santa Claus, you come through for me every year. But it's really Martha called as my mom. But I think for her the joy is seeing me. She doesn't need the praise because she gets to see me happy. And part of me wishes that I had kids so I could do that. But the other part of me is like, but kids are drama. I don't know if it's worth it. So I'll just be an uncle and you get to parent from a distance. I get to come in for just the fun parts and leave when the fun's over. Shout out to all the uncles and aunts and non-binary, whatever you would call them. I mean, I'm non-binary. I just use uncle.
I have a couple holiday stories, but the one I want to tell the most, I'm like, I don't know that I should because what's traumatic to some people, I find is like my comedy, which you know what I mean. Like, people are like, "Oh, how are you so funny? How are you so funny?" It's because I was depressed at like a really early age. Um, so my holiday story, I think I was like, I couldn't have been more than 16 years old, and my family, it's weird. My parents were always like really liberal and really like think for yourself. They raised us to be very independent. However, they were also like super conservative in like their religious beliefs. And I think that's just because like black. You know what I mean? And so it was really weird having these people that raised me be like super liberal and like free thinkers, think on your own, figure it out, and loving, but also like we got to go to church, we got to praise the Lord. And so every New Year's, every Christmas, like we'd go to church. And so this one particular year, I was like really, really, really like, I was feeling myself. I was like, I'm 16. I'm an adult. I'm not going to church. Like you guys raised me to think for myself. I've read books on Buddhism at this point. Like I'm good on Christianity. So my friend was having a party and I went to my friend's party. Obviously, we were turning up, like we're 16, we're gonna drink, it's Christmas time, like blah blah blah, and lo and behold, at like so the services start late on Christmas. And my dad, I just wasn't answering my phone. My dad shows up to my friend's house and he's knocking on the door like, where is Corey? And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Like everyone is turned. I'm like on my way to being turned. I'm kind of tipsy. And my dad's like, it's time to go to church. I'm like, this is not cute. This is not good for my social reputation. Like, this is a buzzkill. So I end up going. I'm forced to go home, and I'm pissed, livid. I'm pouting, and then I get home and I get into it with my mom. I'm like, I'm not going. Like, church is blah blah blah, and she's like, what do you mean you're not going? And like this was the first time that the liquid courage had kicked in. And I had never before, like, I had done shady shit, but not like brazen, like to my parents, like I'm not going. So I'm getting in this huge argument with my parents. My mom's like livid and yelling at me like she's never yelled at me before. I'm like going, and my dad's just kind of like, my dad's always very stoic. Like he's just kind of like, you know what I mean? And I'm going back and forth because I'm similar with my mom, similar to my mom. So we're like, like we both have mouths on us, you know what I mean? And I'm drunk. Obviously, I have to go. So this is a Christmas story about the time I was 16 years old and completely drunk in church. Like I just remember sitting in the pew, like feeling so nauseous and being drunk and being like, what the fuck like, what is this? Who is Jesus? Why is Jesus like just completely fucked up in church? Yeah, that's my Christmas miracle of how I came to be not a Christian.
I also grew up in church. For part of my childhood, we were very religious. My dad was like not religious at all. We never went to church when I was really young. He was like we moved around a lot, and he was a musician, and so I would always joke that we wouldn't have school for me sorted out yet, and I wouldn't have friends yet, but my dad would have a bass player for his band. So it was just like very sort of dysfunctional. And then my grandmother passed away, and on her deathbed, she was like, you need to get these kids in church. You need to come back to what really matters. And so he quit his job. He was working for Walmart at the time, and we were booming. And then we started busting because he then became unemployed and then moved us to a new state. So in this new state, like we start going to this church, and I was like always wanted to be a performer when I was young. I was always like putting plays on and doing stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go out for the Christmas play. And I went and I'm like, I'm gonna be married, which I don't know what the fuck I was thinking because this is a predominantly white area. So they're gonna be progressive and be like, you're gonna have a black Mary. Like with this little white Jesus, you know? So I'm like, I'm gonna be married. So I decided I was gonna try out for it. Obviously, I did not get it. I think that I deserved it. I think that I was the only one that actually gave a believable performance, like really understood like the gravity of what Mary was going through. She was being impregnated against her will by some sort of like sentient spirit being. And I think that there was probably like a lot of trauma in that. And so, I mean, I remember being able to like conjure tears. This is kind of gross, but I've always been able to cry on demand. And they were just like not having it. And so when they posted the list, I'm like, I'm going to be Mary. Obviously, I'm the only one that gave a performance. I go see my name and it says Charlene and my maiden name and then donkey. They made me a donkey. I didn't even get a speaking part and I was pissed. So like I went to my mom and was like, I'm the donkey. I need to have a costume. And I was told I had to wear something gray. And so me being me, I'm like, I'm not gonna put on like some ugly gray sweatsuit and go be donkey. I'm not trying to do that. So my mom took me to the mall and I found a crushed velvet silver set, flared legs, flared arms, buttoned down, bright silver. I look like a disco ball. And then she made me these ears, like these little donkey ears. And I got her to bedazzle like the inside of them. And so I was like, I'm going to be the donkey. And they kept asking me, like the woman that was like the director of this church play kept asking me for my costume. And I knew I was going to get in trouble if I like told her what I was wearing. So I kept it hidden. I just kept saying like, oh, my mom's working on it. My mom's working on it. My mom's working on it. And then she didn't see it until the day of. And then the day of, I'm like all dressed and it's too late for them to get a donkey. So I'm like strolling up in my little flared bell bottoms and they're like shimmering in the light. And I see, baby Jesus down there. Clearly, baby Jesus is a star. He happened to be my little brother. He was there because he's like way lighter skinned and also hidden by the manger. So I think that was probably fine. Mary was like a little blonde girl. Of course she was. Of course. And so I'm like, okay, I obviously need to get a photo op here. So I snuck my way into like right by the manger and just like hung out the whole time in my little flared outfit. Everybody's wearing like period piece like rags, and I'm just like in this like crushed velvet suit. Yeah, and that is my holiday story. Another fun anecdote about the holidays for me is that I did not believe in Santa as a child. My parents tried to do Santa with me, and when I was 3 years old, my parents were telling me that Santa came, and I said, "Well, how come Santa has the same wrapping paper as you?" Because my parents would always do this thing where they're like, "These are from Santa, and these are from us," and I was like, this don't make no sense. This doesn't make any sense. And I was 3. And so that's like, it's a big boost to my ego to be like, I didn't believe in Santa, even at 3. Even at 3. I know. I will say I had to think about this now that I'm a mom because I was like, oh, I'm a parent now. I got to like figure this out. Am I going to do it? And I will not be doing Santa. My child will know that everything that they got came from me and their and and their dad. That's it. That's it. Yeah. It came from their parents. They will be getting presents from us. We worked hard. you know?
I actually love the time in between the holidays, like the space in between like Thanksgiving and Christmas or even Christmas and New Year's, because everyone is so much nicer. It is even like I worked retail for 8.5 years, and you could just see the switch in like customers just being like so lovely, so sweet. And I'm like, can you just hold on to this? Like after Christmas, please, like, please just hold on to this. And everyone's just nicer and warmer, and it feels such like I don't know, a moment where we all should feel this way all the time and we should all be loving and caring. But like those few days in between where it feels like time is like standing still, it's because everyone's probably nicer and more appreciative of each other, you know? I like that moment. Well, it's different now as I've gotten older, but as a kid, it was very family oriented, and it was like I'm Mexican, so like it's a lot of family, and our big tradition is you stay up late on Christmas Eve, and then at midnight is when you start opening the presents, and because there were so many of us, it would take hours every time, and we would like be home by like 3 a.m. and then just like exhausted. And then you just like hang out all day on Christmas, you sleep in. And then we all would go back to my grandma's house and like just eat. But like Christmas Day was always like, you do nothing, you show up in sweats. So like when people have like Christmas dinner or like do anything traditional, I'm so confused. Or like for us for Thanksgiving, it was always like, you show up when you show up with your dish. Like it wasn't like a planned setting. We like tried it, but it never worked every year. So like sometimes my aunt will send my cousin and be like, "Okay, here's the potatoes." Then they'd run back home to finish getting ready. So like you would never eat a full meal at the exact same time as everyone. And so one year, as I've gotten older, I've kind of spent more of the holidays with my chosen family. And one year for Thanksgiving, and normally I'm just kind of like floating around or I go to the movies or something. But my white friend invited me to his white family's Thanksgiving, and it was like like everyone brought a dish. They had it all displayed on a table, and like everyone was like, "Oh, I made this, I made that," and like we all went around and like put food on our plate, and it was just like very traditional. And I was like, "Wow, I hate this." Like I was no, because I was like, I would rather like I don't know. It felt so like forced, and it's just like I don't know. It just was like not. It felt like too formal also. And I was just like, "Oh, thank God they're not making me go around the table and say what I'm thankful for, because like, I just think it's so uncomfortable." Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know anyone else except, like, 3 people, but, I don't know, I like the chaos of it at the same time. But, yeah, as I've gotten older, I've kinda spent the holidays more by myself, and not for, like, a lot of people think, like, "Oh, is it 'cause, like, you have family stuff and, like, things like that?" And it's like, no, I just really love myself, and I like spending time with myself. And I also love, like, Los Angeles during the holidays because it's empty and everyone's gone, so, like, I can go anywhere very quickly, and other places are empty. Like, I have no issues, like, staying in and smoking weed and watching movies, which is what I did for Christmas last year. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, or I'll plan ahead and I'll go to the store and buy, like, foods that I like, and then I'll have it ready for the next day, so I'm like, "I don't need to leave the house, I have no responsibilities, this is lovely." Like, I'd rather do that than, like, spend it with some of my family members. But I will say, I have 2 nephews, and they're young, and so, like, buying stuff for them is always a treat because it's just, like, seeing a kid open something, a kid that obviously, like, I love and care about, opening the gift that they wanted is always, like, such a blast to see, and so exciting for them.
My name is Sydney Rogers, aka Miss Barbie Q. My pronouns are she and her. I was around 10 years old, a little black, plump, gay kid. And every year, my mom would make Christmas cookies because we were very, very poor. So we would make Christmas cookies homemade from scratch and give them around to the neighborhood. And as we were make the Christmas cookies, my mom had flour up on the counter. Now, growing up black, we had different kinds of flour. We had the pork chop flour, the fish flour, and the chicken flour with the different seasonings. And when we were making the Christmas cookies, my mom said, "Baby, go over there and get me 2 cups of flour and put it in the cookie batter." And I said, "Okay, mama." And I ran over and put the flour in the seasoning. I mean, we put the flour in the batter, and we made the cookies. And the cookies smelled delicious. And we were putting them in the tins. And we always got the tins that we collected over the years of those Danish tins, the blue tins. So we had a whole bunch of those Danish tins, and we put the cookies in the tins. And my little sister, because I'm the oldest of 6, my little sister ran off around the corner to this Filipino people that lived around the corner and ran off with the thing of tins already. And then my mom bit into the cookie and she said, "Where did you get that flour from?" And I said, "I got it from over there." She goes, "Where did you get that flour from?" And I said, "I got it from over there." She goes, "Eat this. Taste this cookie." And she looked at me. You know how your mama has those eyes when you go into the grocery store and you cutting up, and she has those kind eyes, but then she has those mama eyes. And she said, "Eat this, taste this." And I bit into the cookie, and you're supposed to taste chocolate and sweetness And I bit into that cookie and I tasted paprika and I tasted pepper and I tasted garlic and, and I tasted seasoning salt. And she said, "Where did you get that flour from?" And I said, "I got it from that first can." She goes, "That's not the flour you're supposed to get it from. That's the pork chop flour." So so I had gotten 2 scoops from the pork chop flour and put it in. And my sister came running home and she said, "That family around the corner, they love those cookies. They thought those were the best cookies ever." My mama said, "We're gonna scoop up the rest of these cookies and we're gonna put them in these tins. We're gonna give all those cookies over to that family around the corner then." So she gave the rest she gave the rest of those cookies to the Filipino family around the corner, and they ate all those cookies up. And she looked at me. She said, "You are never ever to help me make no cookies no more." And I said, "Mom, I made a mistake." She goes, "That was a Christmas mistake. No more cookie helping for you. From now on, you help with the turkey and the ham. And that's it." It was shake and bake cookies. That was like that, and that, I made that mistake when I was 10 years old, and to this day, she still wouldn't let me. She passed away last year, right? But until she passed away, she never let me live that. She called them pork chop cookies. She always go, "Remember that time you made those pork chop cookies?" I'm like, "Mom, that was just one mistake." She goes, "You never make that mistake again, would you?" I was like, "No, never make." Never got the opportunity again. Never got the opportunity again. It's the same thing with the bacon grease and the fish grease and the pork chop grease. Do you ever mix those greases up? No. Never. Ever, ever, ever. You never mix those greases up. Don't mix up the flour either. Do not pour them in the wrong ones, because if you did, that's it. That was it, right? There's this gay couple that I do my Christmas Eve with. I've been doing it for the last 11 years. We go and they make everything from scratch. Nothing is store bought. The only store bought thing we might bring is a Patty LaBelle's pie. You ain't had a pie till you had a patty pie, honey. Oh Lord, a Patty LaBelle sweet potato pie. Now I'm picky about my pies, right? Because my mama only made a sweet potato pie until Patty LaBelle came out with these pies, this line of pies, and her sweet potato pie. You cut into that pie. You only need a slice because your diabetes gonna go off the roof, right? So you only need a sliver, and you ain't even supposed to be eating that. And the people who know, right? You ain't even supposed to be eating that. You better drink some water. You better drink some water. You better drink some water with that piece of pie. But Patty LaBelle done come out with these patty pies, honey, and you slice a sliver of that pie, and you better eat the crust because the crust is bomb. You slice a sliver with that pie. You better order those pies ahead of time too. Woo! You say sliver those Patty LaBelle pies, right? Right? You order one for the family and one for yourself, and you keep it in the trunk. Don't even bring it in the house. Don't even bring it in the house. Right? You take a slice, take a slice of that pie, and you just go in the corner somewhere and watch you some BET and just eat it, right? Eat it. You don't even need no whipped cream, no Cool Whip. You don't need no ice cream with it. Again, the diabetes. You don't even need none of that, and you just eat it slow. You're gonna want to eat it fast. Just eat it slow. Yeah, I'm doing that, and then on Christmas Day, I go with a bunch of trans and non-binary people, and we have a feast, and we actually put on a little show at like 5 o'clock. Like we eat from 12 to 4, and then when we get all full, and people get a little drunk, and right, and we put on a little show where we do a little poetry and singing, and we have a poll in one of their places. So there's a little pole dance. Yes, that's usually my whole Christmas.
You know, I do love the holiday season, and I have celebrated Hanukkah. My partner's Jewish. I've celebrated Christmas, and I have celebrated Kwanzaa. And if you play your cards right, and the calendars line up, it's a nonstop holiday because Kwanzaa can go right, Hanukkah can go right into Christmas, and then as soon as Christmas is over, it goes right into Kwanzaa, and then the New Year, you just get the bing bang boom 'em. You know what I mean? And I just think it is, and but also I know there's a lot of people who have a lot of trauma around the holidays. Like the holidays can bring up like being alone is one thing. If you've never been alone on Christmas, I don't wish it on anyone. Being alone for a holiday is pretty tough. It feels really 'cause it just feels wrong for me. It just feels wrong to be alone for a holiday. Even I was recently abroad for Thanksgiving, and I don't even fuck with Thanksgiving like that because of colonization. Um, but even then, because of my socialization as an American, I was like, fuck, I'm just like kind of working on Thanksgiving. This is crazy. Like, we're not eating turkey and none, you know? So I like to try to take the stuff from the holidays that makes me feel good and keep that with me as opposed to the negative parts, you know? So happy holidays to you all. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, um, Light Day, and any other Yuletide holidays that I may have missed out on. Happy holidays, everyone. All right, and there you have it. Our holiday extravaganza has come to a close, leaving behind a trail of laughter, love, and enough holiday spirit to last until next season. Maybe Cher will release another. Maybe okay, Cher did the album this year. Maybe next year, like I don't know, another diva's gonna. Maybe Cyndi Lauper. Maybe Dionne Warwick. Maybe Patti LaBelle will drop another Christmas gem on us. Who knows? Who knows?
Speaking of our season 3, our debut is set to air during Black History Month, February 7th. And we at Town Hall, a Black Queer podcast, are so excited to bring you another season. So thank you so much for your support and your listenership. Please don't forget to share this very episode and this entire, both seasons, darling. We love the support. Happy holidays. Special thanks to our production team, Charlene Westbrook, Corey Nixon, Tracy Marquez, Amelia Rittaler, and music by La Fembear.